Warning, the following video contains spoilers. If you don't want this episode spoiled for you, switch the video off now. I suppose you could say that Overhaul has been disarmed. Oh, if you think that's bad, you just hear my Sir Night Eye joke. You know what, if we get to 5 likes, I'll tell you what that joke is in the next episode. So with that in mind, I imagine I'll be the first person in YouTube history to get negative likes. I should point out, of course, that if you hear any loud banging in the background, that's because the neighbours are doing some DIY work. That or they're having incredibly kinky rumpy pumpy. Though with all that said and done, I want to know what you thought about this week's episode of My Hero Academia. Leave me a comment in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you shortly, either directly in the comments themselves or towards the end of a future video. And as I said, be sure to like, favourite, subscribe and click the bell and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do, because YouTube is an increasingly scary place for small content creators. Support your small content creator today. It does them a power of good. Woohoo! This is the final part of the Hasaikai arc and the end of the whole "we've got to save Eri" subplot stuff. This episode, bar maybe a couple scenes, is mostly an epilogue. This is an episode focused around tying up everything that's happened over the past 14 or so plus episodes and drawing a neat line under them so that we can move forward and go on to other things. That's not to say that the big important things that happened in this episode were not big, were not important, and didn't have some kind of emotional impact, because they frankly did, and I'll be discussing those shortly. However, it's not like towards the end of this episode we had a villain in a dark room drinking red wine and then saying, "Yes, the time has come for us to come out of the shadows." Or alternatively, them dancing around in a garden, yelling about the promised land or something like that. Yet again, there are massive events in this story, ones that are going to have an impact going forward. But I think it's fair to say, for the time being at least, we're not going to see any more of Overhaul, the Hasaikai, the Yakuza, his countless minions, or countless never-ending corridors. For goodness sake, thank goodness that long nightmare is over. Look, whilst I made a crappy joke towards the start of this episode about the Overhaul, and whilst I do have a crappy joke lined up for Sir Night Eye, I won't lie, I did get rather emotional with the Sir Night Eye stuff when seeing him passing away. I got choked up by it, I can't lie by it. I knew that he was going to die, I predicted it weeks ago, I think pretty much from the first moment that I saw him, I knew that was going to happen to him. Though such is the quality of the animation that you could really see the proverbial light fading from his eyes. It's not some kind of overdone dramatic effect, it's not some anime quirk. In that moment you believe, I certainly believe, that that guy had died. Yes, it's just an animation, a bunch of lines on a page or a computer screen or what have you, but they handled it pitch perfectly. It was such a fantastic moment, and it truly speaks to the quality of the animation staff, the writers and everyone involved in it to make something that powerful. This whole story arc, even though it's wrapped up fairly neatly in the end of it, has not come without some kind of consequences. There has been some weight to all of this. This has come at a cost. Something that many other shows of a similar nature could learn to do. Not naming any names. Chocoball Super! Though with that said, it does it fantastically well. I did, and I want to use the word carefully, enjoyed the League of Villains mangling of Overhaul. I'd say enjoyed because I don't want this next segment of me talking to sound like I'm some kind of psychopath or something, but I enjoyed it. It gave me odd flashes back to Only God Forgives, a movie that I've not seen in quite a long time, and I remember hating it at the time because it wasn't Drive 2. But you know what, I'll say this, and again, I don't want to sound like a psychopath, but I don't think it was graphic enough for my liking. This whole bit is with a horrible, nasty bad guy who's been doing horrible, nasty stuff for an extended period. There's been nasty, villainous, horrible, nasty scumbag. This is a scene where they're effectively nullifying him, castrating him from being able to be a villain anymore. But all we really get is this really, quote-unquote, neat, cartoonish compression stuff with losing one arm, and with the other arm it's just a flash of a knife and some blood splattering on a wall. That's it. I mean, it doesn't need to be gratuitous. It doesn't need to be something that feels like it's from an 80s slasher movie. But it just needs to feel a little painful. Like, the League really wants to make him suffer both physically and mentally. But with this, you didn't really get that. So whilst it was a satisfying end to him in some regards, in other regards, it kind of felt like you could have done a little bit more, but, you know, at this point, it's making me sound more like a psychopath the more that I lean on this. I'm not a psychopath. Even if I was in high school, voted person most likely to own a slaughterhouse. And when I say slaughterhouse, I don't mean the businessy kind of thing where they slaughter animals. I mean a serial killer. So that's, you know who this is. Honestly, you know, I was, given how horrible they were being to Overhaul, I was honestly surprised they didn't just go up to him and cough at him. Because you know about his germophobia stuff, so I was just expecting Mr. Living Art statue, their boss person, just going up to them and going, "Oh yeah, and just one more thing." And just coughing him in. Then Overhaul just freaking out because someone coughed on him. Horrible, yeah, but it's dutifully deserved for a scumbag like that. You know, it was kind of an interesting semi-symmetrical twist for what happened to Overhaul and Mirio. Both of them have effectively lost their quirks, but without it, Mirio can still be a hero without his quirk. Overhaul now is totally useless. It reminds me of that well-worn Machiavellian statement, is it better to be loved or feared? We're not going to dive too far into that because that's a discussion that is beyond my intelligence and my education. So instead, with that said and done, let us now dive headfirst into the overview. Okay, so now the overview. What did I think about the episode as a whole, as well as some thoughts and feelings towards this whole story arc? This story arc began towards the end of last season and has been rumbling now for the past 14 plus episodes. And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, dear listener, it did feel as though it was starting to overstay its welcome, and did, as I've said many times over the past few weeks, very much start to feel like the whole planet Namek is going to blow up in 5 minutes bit from Dragon Ball Z, minus the filler stuff which made that a little bit more tolerable, as insane as that may sound to some. That's not to say that I did not enjoy what we've been having for the past 14 or so weeks. Though I would say that I would have enjoyed a lot more had there been a lot more character moments and far few episodes where it's just the characters running through corridors, running and shouting and pointing at stuff I don't like. And if you saw my most recent review of the most recent episode of Doctor Who, you'll know very well how I feel about all that. This episode itself, however, felt as though it proves definitively, as though it ever needed proving, to be honest with you, that you can get powerful, heavy, emotional moments without descending into grim, dark, or edgy territory. This episode, whilst it was dark, certainly with the stuff with Sir Nightai, it never descended into gratuitousness or self-indulgence. It is a moment that feels very grounded. Seeing a character die in the way that Sir Nightai did is powerful. It's very, very powerful and effective, and would have been just as effective had this been a crime drama, a comedy, or some other form of culture or entertainment. Again, as such is the writing, the performance and animation that we've seen here, it creates a really powerful and fantastic moment. Yes, it's done in the context of an anime with some bright and colourful and weird looking characters, but that still doesn't take away about how fantastic a moment that was. And I will think this is probably one of the highlight moments of the season, even if it is surrounded by a dark one. It feels very grounded, it feels very believable, and was brilliantly performed. I am interested and excited to see what comes next, but what I will say is at this point I really do want to see the other characters. I want to see them doing stuff. Not just the superhero stuff, but I want to see some more slice of life stuff. I want to see them in their natural habitat, for want of a better word, just doing human stuff, getting up to mischief and doing all the stuff that we've seen them do in previous episodes in the previous seasons. I want us, for now, whatever comes next, whether this is the idea for this next story arc or just for the next few episodes, to have a bit of a palate cleanser, something to help wash away some of the darkness that we've had over the past few weeks, so then it sets us up neatly for any potential darkness coming later on. I don't want this whole season, this whole series to just become this slog through darkness, through depression and darker things, because I don't feel as though that's really what I want from this show. Some people may disagree, and by all means you are welcome to do so, but for me, at least for the next 3 or 4 episodes, I just want people goofing around. I want silliness. I want some fun. I want some excitement. So that then later we can get to darker and more scary things. Alright? That's just where I want to be. But what about you, dear listener? What did you think about this week's episode of My Hero Academia, as well as the whole Hoseikai arc? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you shortly, either in the comments themselves or towards the end of a future video. And be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, and do click the bell, as that is what YouTube wants you to do. And be sure to do the whole YouTube thing, because YouTube really wants you to do it. Support your local content creator today, and remember, if this video gets to 5 likes, next week I'll share my Sir Night Eye joke. Wow, what a tease that'll be. Well, they say, you should have goals. And my goal for the past goodness knows how many years has been to break 50 subscribers. And I'm still no bloody closer. But you know what, whatever. Thank you for listening. Like, favourite, subscribe, do the YouTube stuff. Like, click bells and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.